Hello, welcome to today's episode of the Driven Podcast. Our conversation today is with Cade VanHeel, who is with Pay It Forward Processing. We dig into him being a part of the family business and about his home burning down when he was only 16 years old. He just talks about the impact that that made in his life and in his family's life and what came out of that. Instead of falling victim to this horrible situation, his entire family literally rose from the ashes and built something beautiful out of a devastating event. And today's Driven podcast is sponsored by Driven Relationships, where business growth starts with genuine human connection. At Driven, we believe loyalty and referrals don't come from transactions, they come from trust. If you are ready to build lasting client relationships and stand out in a noisy digital world, visit us at drivenrelationships.com. Cade, can you take me back to that day when you were 16 and you found out that your home was on fire?
Yeah, that was an interesting experience as a teenager, because we were out of town. We were in Minnesota for my grandparents' 50th anniversary party and ceremony and all that stuff. And we knew there was wildfires in San Diego, but
Mhm.
they weren't close enough to our house to be any sort of like danger or concern or anything like that. We went to bed without worrying about anything. And then about 3:30 in the morning, I was getting phone calls off the hook from my friends that lived in our neighborhood saying that our neighborhood was on fire.
Oh my God.
And so we were staying we were staying at my grandparents' house. My parents were staying somewhere else, so I couldn't even get in touch with my parents. And then when everybody woke up, we turned on the news and we actually ended up seeing our house on fire on the news, which was added to the whole experience as a 16-year-old teenager. I have two younger brothers. And as a kid, you're like materialistically, like that's everything because you don't,
Mhm.
you, your image is what you own kind of thing. And so we didn't know if it was fully gone or if the firefighters were able to save it or anything like that. We didn't know for almost 2 days. And then 2 days later, I think it was 2 days. Yeah. We ended up actually seeing our neighborhood on Good Morning America, and they were interviewing our neighbor next door, and they panned over towards our house and it was completely gone. It was burned to the ground. And so we ended up, that trip was only supposed to be like 4 or 5 days. We ended up staying in Minnesota for almost 2 weeks because we didn't have anywhere to stay. We couldn't go home or anything. So my dad ended up going home. He found us a rental house pretty quick. And then we flew home after being in Minnesota for 2 weeks. But the crazy thing is we had more stuff than everybody that lived in our neighborhood because the fire came to our neighborhood middle of the night and people were literally running out of their house while it was on fire kind of thing. One of my friends that I've known since we were 8 years old, still friends with him, but he lived down the street from us and their house was literally full of smoke and on fire as they woke up. And it was like raining fireballs and everything. And so I didn't have to experience that, but feeling helpless from a distance was a whole nother feeling kind of thing.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. So at the time, was stuff online, like photos and things like that? You're younger than me. So there was a little bit of digital trail, but photos, all of that stuff was just
So
gone?
that was right at the point of where things started to become digital. And
Okay.
so um, we had our phones. There was really no such thing as a cloud base. Like what was on your phone was what you had. My dad luckily just backed up a bunch of photos onto an old iPod that we had. But I go from like 4 years old to 14 years old in if you look at our chronological order of child photos. I grew up really quick.
Yeah, that's wild. My parents kept a bunch of our things from when I was in high school and junior high, and like journals I had, letters from friends, boyfriends, pictures, all these pictures, all my scrapbooks I'd spent hours on. And just this summer, my mom called me and was like, "Hey, Kelly, there was a small crack in the Rubbermaid that it was in, and there was a small flood in our basement, and we didn't realize that the water had gotten into it, and all of this stuff was just full of mold and ruined. And that was devastating to me. Just this one little box that was ruined because so many of my I journaled so much in high school and in junior high, and some of it I could kind of flip through and see it, but like the mold was so bad. I'm like, we got to toss this stuff. But that was so hard for me to see as a 45-year-old. And that was just like one little tiny piece of my life and one little box. To lose it all is devastating in a lot of ways.
It it was a wild experience. The only thing that fully survived from that was 16-year-old just bought my first vehicle. That was literally the only thing in my whole house that survived because it was parked on the street. Um, we spent 3 days digging through the rubble once we were allowed back into the neighborhood, which was another like 2 weeks. We weren't allowed to go back there for almost a full month.
Wow.
We found a bunch of random things that had like water damage and stuff to it, but didn't fully burn.
Okay.
Like I actually have um a poster on my wall that was, I don't know if you're familiar with any like professional skateboarders or anything in the late 90s, early 2000s, but
Maybe.
Bob Burnquist, I got to hang out with him quite a bit as a kid because he came to like the local skate park by us, and I had a poster signed by him. And before the fires, I had it like folded up in my closet, and like because I had nowhere to hang it up, but I wanted to keep it nice. And I I actually found it in the rubble. It was burned around the outside, but it says to Cade and still has his signature on it. And so I have it still to this day hung up on my wall. But that's and then a few like photo albums that we were able to like peel them apart and
Mm.
whatnot, but there really wasn't a whole lot besides like I think my mom found her wedding ring, and a few other things. But when there's a house like a wildfire and a house fire, that they just burn so hot that it melts literally everything.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But you know what you can be so thankful for is that no one, you didn't lose any family members in that. I mean, I think you have to have a perspective that's can step outside of it and look at it like find the silver lining. You are still
There's
here. Your brothers are still here. Your parents are still here.
exactly. And I learned at a young age that stuff is just stuff.
Mhm.
Like, um, yeah, there's a lot of sentimental value for a lot of things. But
Yeah,
like you said, it ultimately comes down to who's still in your life, and everybody's healthy and everybody's still there.
right.
But you can replace vehicles, you can replace clothing, you can replace shoes.
Yeah.
And then
Stuff.
there's so many avenues to make sure that your memories, like pictures and videos, are all preserved.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's a
so
wake up call to all of us. Back things up, especially in this day and age. It's easy to do it. It's not like it was back in the day where you had to like hire someone to do it or it's complicated or expensive.
there's companies and businesses out there that will take your film, like print photo prints and everything, and they'll digitalize them and
Mm,
then give them to you, and then you can back them up, and you'll
yeah.
never lose them that way.
Mhm. I know. I wish I would have done that with like my journals and things, but part of me is like, you know what? It's probably good people don't read this stuff. No one wants to know what was inside my head as a 18-year-old,
Yeah,
15-year-old.
why did Kelly not run for president?
I
That one
know that.
journal.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Anyone got their hands on that? Sometimes, you know what, as I was flipping through some of the things that you could see when I was home, um, part of me was like, man, that 18-year-old is pretty mature. Or that
Yeah,
22-year-old. A lot of it was like praying for other people. A lot of my journals are like prayers. I'm like, man, that girl, like, I don't know. I can see how I got to where I'm at now because I decided when I was a young person that that you don't just wake up as a mature 25-year-old or a mature 45-year-old. There are things that you have to walk through to get to where that is. And I'm sure you and your brothers grew up pretty quickly going through that at a young age.
there there's a lot of good stuff that has come out of that.
Yeah. Hmm.
We did do a lot of volunteering after that with helping people rebuild their houses, help. um my parents started a foundation after the fires,
Hmm.
which was, I still tell them that they're crazy for doing this because they had two businesses at home that burned. They had three teenage boys that they were trying to raise. And
Mhm.
then my mom decides to start a foundation to help the 1,100 families that had full burns, full burn downs. And then I think there was another like 600 or 700 families that had partial fire damage. And she decided to start a nonprofit called Fired Up Sisters. And then this is where we were voluntold to help on the weekends. So at first it was one of those things where it's like, oh my gosh, I got to spend my weekends at the warehouse unloading big box trucks and delivering things. And then it turned into something that I enjoyed doing a lot.
Mhm.
And so as a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid having to volunteer and do all this stuff, like you learn a lot. And then also you realize how much enjoyment it was to help all of these other people through all
Yeah.
that stuff.
Well, it's really easy to be self-focused, especially as a teenager. And any human, really. It's easy to really just focus on your needs, what you want to do, what makes you comfortable, what just you. Like
Yeah.
the me all the time. And I think it's so good to step outside of ourselves and to serve other people.
Yeah.
What I've heard from people too is like a lot of the times people that are hurting are going through really hard things with, like they have a child with a terminal illness or um, just really bad diagnoses. It helps them to help other people.
Hmm.
It kind of
Yeah.
distracts you maybe from what you're dealing with or just puts things into perspective.
I I don't know what it was about that. Um, but one of like the favorite things that we did through that whole time was my mom got Tempur-Pedic mattress to donate 3 big like truckloads of mattresses. Like we had this giant warehouse and it was like 25-foot ceiling, and we stacked these mattresses all the way to the ceiling. And but a lot of people had no way of coming to pick them up,
Mm.
and my truck was the only thing that survived our little fire. So it was about 6 weeks, 3 days a week. I was delivering mattresses all over San Diego to people, and just to see people have a mattress show up to their house, like that was the wildest and the coolest experience. We didn't charge for delivery or anything like that, but everybody wanted to tip, and I made more money doing it for that summer delivering mattresses than I did working my other job. And it was just the coolest thing. Like gas was almost $6 a gallon that summer. And so it helped pay for gas. They got a bed. Like it was the coolest. Just I think was it the one house that we did, we had 8 mattresses. That truck couldn't hold anything else. It was and it was a 3-story house. And so me and my friend Simon, who I told you about, that he ran out of his house, he was helping me, and we had to every single floor had a mattress, at least one. Yeah, that was that was a fun summer being able to deliver mattresses.
Did people ask you why you were doing that? Or were you able to share your story of like your personal?
Everybody we delivered mattresses to knew who we were because of Renee.
Okay.
They knew me as Renee's son.
Yeah. Renee is something else. She is like no one else I've ever met. And, when you're saying like she got Tempur-Pedic to donate all those mattresses, my first thought is, of course she did.
Yeah.
Of course.
She figured out that all of these big box stores, they have to donate X amount of things per year
Mhm.
to be
Mm,
to fall under a certain tax deduction. And she's just like,
mm,
hey, hi, we need stuff. And they're
mhm.
like, absolutely. And so she somehow got Lowe's, Tempur-Pedic, Bed Bath and Beyond, I think Hobby Lobby and a few other big box stores just delivered stuff to this warehouse, and people could build a bathroom, like toilet, sink, shower, mirrors, lighting fixtures, for like $150. They could just buy everything and then come and pick it up, which would cost normally thousands of
Oh
dollars.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And so it helped people rebuild their houses on a budget,
Yeah.
because 90% of the people in our area were underinsured.
Yeah. And they're in California where it's just not cheap to do anything.
Yep.
What an amazing thing. So, Fired Up Sisters, does that still exist or is that no
There
longer?
they're still around. They still do things around like Southern California.
Okay.
But they don't do as much as they used to.
Okay.
It's still run by the same people. Renee kind of took a step back and she's still got a relationship with them and everything, but she doesn't have as much doing as she used to.
Okay. Okay. There's two other things I kind of want to talk about today. One is being a part of a family business. And then the other one is how you give back with every swipe that happens with the company, with with the client who hires you, who uses you for credit card processing, and how you give back in that way. So let's talk about that first, and then we'll end with the family piece of it.
Perfect.
Tell me about pay it forward processing.
Pay it forward processing. We're a full service credit card processing company. If you can think of a way to accept payments via credit card or even ACH,
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, we can help you. A lot of softwares have become proprietary in certain ways. So working with softwares, we have specific strategic partners that we do that cover a lot of industries. But there's a handful of certain ones that we can't work with. But credit card processing in the industry is not many people enjoy talking about it. It's one of those shady businesses that people get screwed over a lot. There's not a whole lot of positive feedback from it, which it's like a double-edged sword with us, but I enjoy it because I get to bring a good experience to people with it. One of my newest clients this year, they came to me in September, but not before switching 3 times since January. So I'm the fourth person they've worked with since January.
Oh my goodness.
And had a call with them yesterday and just to check in, see how things are going. And she told me that she wished that she met me back in January. And so it's cool. And I love giving people a new perspective on an industry that isn't the greatest.
Okay. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And how does it work with how you give back to charity through someone hiring you?
So the Give Back program works in a way where in our industry, there's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of money flowing through credit card processing. And the best way of describing it is pay it forward processing. We're not greedy. There's plenty of money for everybody to go around kind of thing. We keep our overhead really, really low. We don't have big buildings. We don't have a lot of employees. That eats up a lot of profit, right? So we're able to give back because we keep our overhead low. We don't want to keep all the money. Everybody can kind of get a piece of the pie per se. And so charities, nonprofits, they do a lot of fundraising throughout the whole year. They're constantly doing raffles, they're doing banquets, golf tournaments, all of that stuff. Doing one-off events cost nonprofits a lot of money. Yes, they generate a lot of money, but imagine how much money it costs to pay for that event too. And so our give back program turns into kind of like a recurring charitable event that they have going on, where if a charity introduces me to a business, that business signs up, that charity gets a percentage of those fees for the lifetime of the account. And so it turns into a recurring revenue for them versus a one-off event in hopes that we make money. And so it's an easy way for these charities to create a revenue stream that comes in every single month. They get a deposit every month.
Yeah. So if a business uses you to do their credit card processing, do they get to pick the charity that gets that donation? Or do you have some that people choose from? How does that work?
We have a list of vetted charities that have been a part of the program, or they've gone through the interview process. The thing with charities and 501c3s and nonprofits, anybody can be one. Just at the end of the year, they have to show zero profit. And so we want to make sure that the funds that people are donating to these charities through their fees are going to what they say they are going to. We've had charities apply to be a part of the Give Back program, but they're super top heavy. And so like a lot of the funds are going to the CEO, CFO, all of the people running the
Mhm.
charities versus the actual small percentage going to the cause kind of thing.
Right.
And so we want all of our charities to have like 90% of the money going to the cause that they're
Okay.
advertising and saying that they're helping. And so the way the businesses can choose from the list that we have. And if they're if they have a charity that they work with on a regular basis that they're really adamant about going to, wanting
Mhm.
their fund their donations going to, we're always open to talking to new charities.
Okay.
um it does take some time to interview them and get them a part of the program and stuff like that, but the easiest way for somebody is just go to the list, pick one that's on our list already, and then away we go kind of thing. And every year we do kind of do a review with the charities to make sure that it's still a good fit and that they're still
Mhm.
doing what they say they're doing kind of thing.
Mhm.
So the list isn't set in stone, it's always growing, and there's new ones coming in, old ones leaving, stuff like that.
Mhm.
uh, but yeah, they can pick from the list.
Is that why people come to you, is for that charitable reason? Or do you find people come to you because they like you and they're like, oh, Cade's really great, or whoever at Pay It Forward Processing that they're talking to, and then like is is the charity why they pick you?
It's both. I have certain clients that have come to me specifically for that. Like they were introduced to me like a board member of a charity. Like
Okay.
they want their business to use us so the charity benefits from it too.
Okay. Okay.
But and then I've also had a lot of businesses come to us based off of how our pricing is done, but also
Mhm.
because they have had zero customer service experience with prior
Yeah.
merchant processing, where they're like,
Mhm.
you know, if I have something going on, I don't want to have to call an 800 number. I'd rather be able to call someone that knows me, someone that knows my business, or I just have their cell phone number and I can just text them and be like, hey, can you check on this? And
Right.
it's both. It's the
Mhm.
service aspect of it and then the charitable aspect of
Charity.
it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the reasons people hire me to work with their marketing and their database and their relationship building is because they have my phone number. I'm the owner.
Mm-hmm.
There's a problem, or if they want something done, obviously they work with someone on my team, the account executive, but they know they can call me. And I think that feels good to people. And I think marketing companies are similar to you in the way that a lot of companies make you sign a long contract. They say they're going to do a bunch of stuff and then they don't do it, or their expectations are different than what you actually deliver. So I think it gives people peace of mind knowing they have the number of someone who can make things happen.
In today's day and age, there's something to say about being able to have a specific point of contact.
Yeah.
With AI bots on
Yeah.
websites, 800 call centers being shipped out of the country, like to
Right.
actually have somebody's direct cell phone number when you need something
Hmm.
is so valuable.
Hmm. It really is. I know we can do AI through our software and our platform, and we've implemented it for a few clients, but I advise people stay away from it. The AI
Yeah.
chatbot, I don't know. Everyone wants to talk to a person. It's irritating when you have to go through like the numbers or some like you're like, I know this isn't a human that's talking to me right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a place for it, but people want a human. They want that human connection because they know that human can get something done and get it done quickly.
Yeah.
It feels good. Who's your ideal client?
There's a few different vertical markets that I work in that I enjoy working in. One of them is like the home renovation industry, where it's invoicing, larger transactions, multiple payments kind of thing, like painting companies, contractors, plumbers. I like
Right.
working with those industries because those guys, it falls under the customer service aspect of it. Like
Mhm.
they deal with large transactions, which large transactions can raise certain flags and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and they need somebody in their corner that's willing to fight for them
Mhm.
when it comes to a transaction being held or something. Because my industry is fully automated. There's not a single person watching every single account waiting to push a button saying, nope, that doesn't look right, so I'm gonna just hold it. It's
Right.
all
Right.
automated. So
Mhm.
these guys are running into transactions upwards. above $10,000 a month or per transaction kind of thing at times. And that automatically raises red flags, and it can hold money. And those guys are operating on such small profit margins on such large transactions that could impact their business astronomically, especially when it comes to doing payroll and all that stuff. And so, like,
Mm.
for instance, I have a painting company, and they did the whole painting for a Lamborghini dealership along with the epoxy floors. And this owner of this Lamborghini dealership was adamant about using his Amex, and they charged $110,000 on one transaction.
Okay.
That it's kind of crazy. And um normally, if they didn't have a contact person for that would have been held and all that stuff, but we followed a certain process, and they were able to get that money the next day.
Wow.
Like, so from charging to deposit, it was less than 12 hours. And so those kind of businesses, having somebody in their corner, yeah, I enjoy it. I love it. Plus,
Mm.
those kind of businesses, they're very straightforward. They don't beat around the bush. Like, tell me how it is, tell me what you need, let's make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also love working with auto mechanics. Auto mechanics, they are notorious of being taken advantage of in our industry, because there are things in life that people need no matter what this financial situation they're in. And vehicles, people need their cars, and they need their cars to run. And so
Mm.
processing companies recognize that, and they take advantage of them by charging them an astronomical amount, but telling them that they have a good deal.
Mm.
And we have specific programs that help almost cut their fees in half. And I enjoy working with them because their businesses are very simple on the like the back end office side. There's not a whole lot of moving parts. It's just, let's get a machine set up and away you go. And then I also enjoy cars. Cars are fun to me.
Yeah.
And so I get to be around them a lot when I work with mechanics.
Yeah, that is fun. You've told me different times how much you've saved people. What's a story you've heard of how much you have saved someone monthly?
Um,
An auto mechanic.
there was one last year that I was working with. I was referred to him by another auto mechanic client. They were friends, and the friend was buying a location in California, and this location was pretty big. He does about 300,000 in processing a month,
Hmm.
and the previous owner was paying about 3.3% on 300,000. So if you do the math, that's a lot of money.
Hmm.
Um, He's been with me for a year and a half, and he's been averaging 1.4%. So 1.4% compared to 3.3%, that's almost 2% in savings every single month.
Right. I'm trying to do the math right now. What did you say? What can you get them at? What percentage?
I'll tell you here. So 300,000
Yeah,
times 3.3%.
that's
That's just under 10 grand a month in merchant
okay.
fees.
Okay.
So 300,000 times 1.4%. I'm saving him about 6 grand a month.
You know what? You could buy a really nice car for 6 grand a month. You could pay for one or two more employees. You could go on a kick-ass vacation every month. You could invest in
That's
your business. You could put that into the market and invest it.
that's
That's a lot of money.
that's about 70 grand a year that we were saving him. As a new business owner, buying a new look, like an existing business, to instantly go into a new venture with 70 grand in your pocket for the year is crazy.
You're everyone's best friend in that case.
Yeah.
I think
So
if you have an automotive company, it's a no-brainer to talk to you. I've known you for quite a few years now, and I've heard this message over and over again, and I've heard you tell stories like this all the time. It's a no-brainer.
yeah, and yeah, I love being able to do this and help people like that, because
Mm.
um I think he was able to hire an extra person, and
Yeah.
then I don't know if he went on a vacation or not, but I told him he should.
Celebrate it and then save it.
Exactly.
Oh, it's awesome. So tell me, what is it like working for Renee, working for Pops? Tell me about this. I want to dig into the family dynamics. How did that come
Um,
about? Like when you became a man, did you work for them right away? I know you've been voluntold to do things for them in the past, as a teenager, as a young adult. But when did you decide like I'm okay, like I want to jump into this family business thing?
um, I've worked with my parents on and off my whole life. I worked for my dad when I was in high school. He had a surgical instrument manufacturing business.
Hmm.
And so when I was 15, 16, 17, I made surgical instruments with him,
Okay.
which
Wild.
it was a crazy experience and getting to do that. And then when I was in high school, I was their like IT person too, because back then we couldn't remotely update machines like firmware and stuff. We had to have the merchant basically be on the phone with tech support, punch a bunch of buttons, and um, to update the machines. This was when they were run through phone lines, not through internet. And but my parents being the people they were, they're like, no, we're not making our merchants do that. So we're gonna have Cade go do that because he wants to work with us. And so I drove around with a MapQuest stack about this every week after school all over San Diego County. And I'd walk into businesses, do the update, and walk out. When I turned 18, I told my parents, I was like, hey, like I want to actually do this for a job. Like, what would that take? And they looked me in the eye and said, you don't have sales experience. We're not going to hire you.
Mm.
And that turned into me being a little rebellious as a kid, as a young adult, teenager, 18, you're still a teenager. But I started a photography business. I
Hmm.
learned the business side of that. I did that for full time for 6 years.
Mhm.
And I did a lot. I learned a lot. I feel like I was a really successful photographer for being so young, and I traveled all over the place. I worked with some awesome companies. But then I got married and I got tired of traveling. I
Mhm.
was like, at 24, I'm like, I don't want to be gone 3 weeks a month.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
then talk to my parents again and see if they would still be interested. And that's when it kind of everything shifted. I started working pay it forward more, and then photography slowly kind of dwindled off until I think was it 26. I officially started doing pay it forward full time. And so working with my parents has been a massive learning curve.
In what year? You said 26. You started
It's,
working for
it was
Cade.
26 full time. So I've been
Oh,
with pay
you
it
were
forward.
26 years old. I'm like, Cade, it's not 2026 yet. Okay, you were
No,
26 years
I
old.
was
Okay.
26. That was I went full time with pay it forward 9 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
You.
it was part time with them for 2 years before that. So
Okay. Has it
yeah,
been easy the whole time? The whole all 9 years of this?
I would lie to you and say yes, but no, it's like working with anybody you're related to. There's a massive learning curve because you have to be able to have two different relationships. You got to have the business relationship, and then you have to have the personal relationship. And
Hmm.
people still, when I'm working with Renee, I don't call her mom. I
Yeah.
can't. I have to call her Renee. And then when people know that we're mother and son, they look kind of funky at me. They're like, you just called your mom by her first name. It's like, I know, that's how I separate
Yeah.
our relationships. But it's the last 3 years have been really, really great. We've figured out how to mesh and work together really, really well. The first couple years, it was me and her were like the same person, so we
Funny
butt
heads.
heads a
Yeah.
lot. But now we're great. I love
Mhm.
it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't do anything else. I love working with my parents.
That's so good. What
Yeah.
a beautiful thing for you to say. Um, I have a mother-daughter duo that work for me.
Yeah.
And when I refer to the mother, I call her by her name. If I'm talking to Summer, who's the daughter, I refer to Robin. I don't say your mom because I want to also help with that relationship. Like this is your work relationship. I don't want it to impact their personal mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
My son works for me. He does sales, so it's not like full time. It's very part time because he's still in college. Um, he calls me mom though. I think I need to talk to him about that when we're in meetings. I'm not
It
sure.
was. it was really tough for me being in my 20s, early 20s, and going into meetings with Renee and
Mm.
being like, and then I
Mama.
didn't, yeah, having having people see me for me and not as my mom's son.
Right.
That was the biggest thing, especially working with business owners and
Yeah.
everything, and having people respect me for me, not respect me because I just got the job because she's my mom.
Right. Yeah. I think there's also this like pulling away that happens between a mother and a son that's so awful and difficult as a mom. That happens, that's currently happening in my life right now, of this natural, like they need to go do it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
You as a young man needed to become a young man because of who you are, and not be, and like you needed some space from your mom to become that man.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a natural pulling away that happens between a mother and a son. And I think your mom is very nurturing and loving, and she has three boys. Um, it's a weird thing. Cade, you'll never understand it. But that's hard for us moms. It's hard to walk down that road. And I think but it's also the most beautiful thing when you see your son become a wonderful young man. And I know your mom is so proud of you and the other boys.
Yeah.
Do they work in the business too? Do your brothers work at all in the business? I know your cousin
um,
does, your cousin Blake.
yeah, my cousin Blake recently came on board with us for I think 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years
Okay.
ago now.
Mhm.
My middle brother Jake worked with us for a couple years, but um, it just wasn't his calling.
Yeah.
He didn't enjoy it, not like I did. When I was a photographer, me and my two brothers, we actually started a media company, and so I did all the photos, they did all the video.
So cool.
And they still do video productions.
Mhm.
My middle brother Jake, he's got his own company with he's got a business partner,
Hmm.
and they they started that maybe 2 years ago, and they're doing all sorts of really cool stuff. And then my youngest brother works for an ad agency in San Diego that does stuff for like Nike, Meta, Adidas,
Very
and so
cool.
he's still traveling all over the place. I think he was just in New York doing something for Nike, I think. I
Okay.
can't keep track of him. Every time I look at his Instagram, he's always in a new
Somewhere
place.
else. Oh my goodness. That's so fun. I do love the entrepreneurial spirit that runs in your blood. Your parents, your mom especially, is always trying new things. Is that ever stressful as a family? Is it
I,
chaos? Is it calm? Do you
I
like it?
guess it's just something I've always been used to because my
Yeah.
parents, she's got a like a corporate wellness division
Oh
of
yeah.
her company where she does health and wellness products, all sorts of different things. But I've grown up with my parents being self-employed. So
Hmm.
it's not, I don't know any different. And
Yeah.
so it's just one thing that I was kind of raised in.
Hmm.
Um, I think at one point in my life, my parents worked for a company that did like telecommunications. They sold cell phones. Like
Okay.
it was
Good day.
all sorts of different things that my parents have done over the years. Um, but they were also the kind of people that they weren't going to accept um, something to not work. Like they moved us from Minnesota to California when I was really young, and going from Minnesota to California, the sticker price, the sticker shock, and they did everything in their power to keep us in that same area, basically my whole childhood life. And
Hmm.
so, seeing my parents now, looking back, seeing how hard they worked for everything, I'm like, that's
Hmm.
it's kind of nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. I think you and I were raised in similar environments. The one time I remember my dad having a corporate job, he worked for an architect. My dad's an architect and he had the construction company, but he worked for a company, Bundy was the name. The one thing I do remember is the Andes mints that they gave out. And I would say giving up the Andes mints and the working for someone else was well worth it for my parents. And they were like yours, like they're going to figure it out. They didn't take no for an answer on things. And they made me believe that I could do anything that I put my mind to.
Yeah.
Of course, you have to live within a budget and figure things out. But I remember for college, my parents saying, If you want to go out of state and you want to go somewhere else, you can do that. We'll figure it out. Like, we're not going to pay for it, but we'll help you figure out how to do that because I had a full ride in state. But my parents were always like, we'll figure it out. You can do anything. And my grandma spoke that into me too. Um, I think it's
I
fun growing up.
I'm laughing because my parents instilled that mentality into me at a really young age. Like, so my truck that survived the fire,
Mhm.
um, I didn't have a job when I got my license. My plastic license came in the mail, and my dad hands it to me but doesn't let go. And he's like, um, "There's a big used car tent sale at Qualcomm this weekend, and we're gonna go find you a vehicle, but you're gonna figure out how to pay for it." And
Mm.
so he helped me buy my first truck. He helped me get it basically off the lot, but he's like, "You have 2 months to figure out how you're going to pay for it now. So go get a job." And
I love
so
it.
it
So
was,
you did, you figured it out, huh?
yep. I had to
Yeah.
work 2 jobs to pay for it, but I figured it out.
Yeah, I don't think until you're forced to have to figure it out that sometimes you do as a kid, because if someone's just going to hand you something, why would you go work? There's some people that are uniquely made that way that are happy to work even if they are handed things. But most
Yeah.
of the time it's like there has to be some reason to work. My son
Yeah.
made 10 grand this summer, between like December and the summer he graduated, so that he could pay for his Europe trip. And he had some cash in the bank at the end, but he wanted to go to Europe for a month, and we were like, all right, we'll support it. We actually bought his ticket there, I think, and back, but we're like, you have to pay for everything you do there. And that lit a fire under him. He was
Did he
super motivated.
did he know you were going to buy his plane tickets, or was that like a surprise?
No surprise. And this is what I do all the time. And now it's becoming not a surprise because I'm always like, happy birthday. We'll take care of that. Merry Christmas. We'll take care of that. But I think that feels better for me and for them. I think when they have some skin in the game and they have to take
Yeah.
some ownership and they pay for their schooling or their trip or their vehicle, like you were saying, their motorcycle.
Well, it teaches you the whole work ethic kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like where I grew up in San Diego, the student parking lot looked like Mercedes, BMW, like.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
a lot of kids in my high school were handed a lot of things.
Yep.
And then there was me where my dad's like, "You're going to figure out how to pay for this, and it's going to be your first
Yeah.
vehicle."
Were you resentful about that, or are you happy looking back and you're like glad for
At
that?
the time, I was like, "What the heck? Like, my friends are getting their cars, they're getting their first vehicles, like, their parents are buying it. Like, why can't I have that?" And then now
Mhm.
looking back at it, I'm like, I wouldn't change it. Like, my parents did the right thing. They were smart about it, and I'm glad they did.
Yeah. Yeah, I went to college in West Palm Beach, Florida, so I get it. When I went to college, I was one of few working. Um, a lot of them had their dad's credit card,
Mm-hmm.
did not.
Yeah, there was a girl in my senior class that had 4 different BMWs over the course of our senior year because she crashed 3 of
Doesn't make any sense.
them.
Personally,
No,
I mean, maybe it does to someone else. I'm from the Midwest. Your parents are from Minnesota. I'm from Indiana. I think there's something in the Midwest that makes us a little different. And I know you can parent like that across the country, but
yeah,
Midwest is pretty great for that. I think a lot of the Midwest just has those values. Like, you work hard and you pay for yourself and you teach your kids to do the same.
yeah, and that's life.
Yeah. Yeah. Good. So we need to wrap this up, but who's the biggest influence in your life? Who's made the biggest impact?
There's 3 people. My dad, my grandpa, and then there is my, I guess you can kind of call him my mentor, but Jim Hernandez. He has taught me so much about sales, about talking to people. He's a business coach, but
Hmm.
I've been through a few of his um, courses, but his wife worked for us for a while, turned
Hmm.
into a good family friend in San Diego, and then he moved to Florida for a while, shortly before we moved to Arizona. But him and I talk monthly. He every About every month he calls me. He's like, "So where are you at? where's your goals at? Blah, 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 blah. He's helped me stay motivated. When
Mm.
I bought my truck back in July, he was one of the first people I called because he knew how much I wanted that truck. And so,
Mm.
but yeah, my grandpa, my dad, and Jim Hernandez, those three men have
Mm.
done so much for me.
Mm. Do you hope to do the same for other people like they've done for you?
One day, I hope I can pay it forward to the right person.
I love it. Kate, thank you for your time. I just wish you and your family all the blessings in the world over your family business. You do so much good. You're making such a huge impact. So I hope your business just explodes year after year. So thankful for you and your family.
Thank you. And thanks for having me on your podcast. This is
Of
awesome.
course. Of course. And people can find you at payitforwardprocessing.com. Is that right? Or
Uh,
PFP processing? What is it?
it's pfprocessing.com.
pfprocessing.com. And you are on Instagram and you are still a photographer, even though maybe you're not doing it to get paid all the time. But people can
It's
find you on Instagram and Facebook, right?
yes, it's my photography is strictly for my own mental wellness, I guess you can say.
Love it. I love it. Are you just Cade VanHeel online? People can find you that way.
I think it on Facebook, yeah, just Cade VanHeel. On Instagram, I think it's Cade Van Photo Man. I'll have to look,
Photo
but
man. I love it. I'll drop it in the description of the podcast so people can find you. But thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
perfect. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks again for joining us today on the Driven Podcast, where we are all about growing relationships in life and business. We hope today's story reminded you that behind every brand, every business, and every big idea, there is a real person choosing to show up, stay rooted, and lead with intention. Your story matters. So keep building, keep loving, and keep doing the hard, beautiful work of showing up in both life and business. We'll catch you next time with another real, inspiring conversation. And until then, never let love and kindness leave you. Always be a fountain, not a drain. And don't ever forget that you are the best.